Alright, hey YouTube. Like I said, I am going to be making a video about lights, cameras, and sets, and I've just started that right now. So, first I'm going to go over lights, since that's obviously what's in the title. So, I'm going to start out with this. Right now, I'm using my set lamps. So, actually, if I turned all of them off right now you may be thinking, how do you still have light right now, okay? So, the thing is, I have ceiling lights on right now. Now, the thing with ceiling lights, whenever doing stop motion, you always want ceiling lights off. Because, like, ceiling lights, they can flicker every once in a while, and it's just not really good. So, another important rule of stop motion, let me bring you over here. You always want to make sure whatever blinds you have are always closed. I mean, I know it's not the morning right now, but still, you need to make sure they're always closed. And have them closed upwards if you have blinds like this, so it doesn't reflect any light down. Because when clouds go over the sun, they can actually make stop motion darker. So one frame could be lighter than another. Alright, and then another thing is, like I said, you always want to turn ceiling fans off. So, well, not ceiling, sorry, ceiling lights. Ceiling lights always have to be off, so make sure those are off. And then, as you can see, that's really dark. I'm going to show you something. Actually, I'm going to turn these back on, and I'll show you. Now, right now, when I'm regularly doing my stop motion, I have 3 lamps. I have a main lamp first. A main lamp, what this one does is this will be my main light source. Now, sorry, as you can see, right about here, there's a shadow, and shadows sometimes can affect things, like, let's say my hand is over this lamp. Well, that doesn't really work, but, you can see certain shadows, and it can dark out certain things in. So you want to get rid of that shadow, because that shadow can mess with things, like if you're hiding something over here that you don't want people to see. Let's say you're hiding something over here that you don't want people to see. People can see the shadow of it, which makes everyone, visible to it. So then I have my second light right here that I use as I call it a shadow block. Now, as you can see, the shadow is still there, but it is very, very light and very hard to see. So then the next thing, I also have one extra lamp. Now, people suggest 2 to 3 lamps. A lot of people just suggest 2. Now, I don't really use this lamp for a light source. Since this is, like, I'll show you when I turn it on. This is more of an orangish lamp. I use it almost to, like, without it, this is what it looks like. With it, it doesn't give much of a difference, but I give it, like, you can see right up here, it gives almost a sun ray sort of thing. So it looks just a little more realistic to me. So, yeah, it's just simple lighting. Then cameras. Alright, for my cameras, this is the camera I use for all my stop motion. It's a Kodak EasyShare Mini. It is a very small camera. I mean, it's not the best for stop motion. You can get really, really, really good cameras for stop motion, but this is just what I work with. I mean, yeah. So then, it's not like, as you can see, I'm using an iPod right now. I'm very shaky with my hands. It's not like I can just take pictures with it. Especially on Lego studs, it moves around a lot. So actually, you can build this with your Lego supplies. You don't have to do the one I did, but like if your camera's bigger, you can make bigger ones, but this is what I have. So your little lens can go right here, and then the rest of it's behind here, and then you have the shutter button up there. And then I have this back here. These plates keep it up. And then, as you can see, those little things at the side, make sure it don't move side to side that much. Now, the thing with this, when I do have this in here, okay, every once in a while I'll mess up on that, but let me show you. Alright, the one thing is, this is not completely foolproof. What I mean by that is, it's not the best. I mean, the camera, it still moves around a little bit, especially when you press the shutter button. When you press the shutter button with any sort of camera, unless you have like a remote to automatically shutter it, when you press the shutter button, it can, I mean, you wouldn't think it would do that much, but it moves the camera ever so slightly. Now, you would think, like with regular pictures, it doesn't really matter. But with stop motion, when you're streaming them really fast together, it looks like it's an earthquake almost. Yeah, so that's just my camera thing I do. Let me turn that off there. And then, yeah. Now, for my set, okay. I probably have one of the smallest sets ever, and messiest too. See, I just have one lamp here, one lamp here, one lamp here, and then the rest is just things I may or may not use later. Now this right here, this is very important. Now you may be thinking, it's tape. What's so important about it? The important thing with tape, it sticks down your sets. So if this set, as I said earlier, if this set moves ever so slightly, this minifigure right here, he's going to look like he's in an earthquake. But he'll just be acting like nothing's happening. So that's very important to have your stuff taped down. And as you can see, I have extra boards right here. Even these are taped down. They move a lot. You may have saw that in my last tutorial, but you need tape, or else it's not going to look very good. Sometimes, if I'm not using tape, I keep it over here. It wears it out a lot, but it's still effective. So yeah, that's for the sets and stuff. And yeah, that's basically it I can think of so far. So yeah, just remember with all that stuff, yeah. So definitely remember tape. A way to keep your camera steady. You always want to make sure your camera is steady. And you need at least 3 light sources, and, as I said earlier, ceiling lights off. Now, even with the ceiling lights off, since the lights are so close, it doesn't make much of a difference. Let me show you myself. This is ceiling lights on, and ceiling lights off. I mean, I'm not even sure if I saw a difference at all. So, yeah. And then, yeah, like I said earlier, I have a very small space, but I make it work. It's because, like, up to here, I don't have anything. And also up to here, I don't have anything. See, I mean, I don't have a full road or anything. I mean, I could add one if I wanted. And my background here is just a base plate stood up. I mean, it's really simple to make, a really simple design. Yeah, but that's basically my little studio right there. And I am going to hand it over to this little man over here. Alright, I got one more thing about my camera. Also, you can see, this is my settings open right now for my camera. And, with this camera, one thing you want to make sure of, I mean, it took me a while to figure this out, but you always want to make sure this exposure right here, see the 0.0, maybe kind of blurry, but, that right there, that is your exposure / auto exposure. You always want to make sure that is always 0.0. It might be like 3.1 because then it can mess up your lighting a lot. If you really want to, you can use a self timer. Sorry, my screen just turned further. You can use a self timer if you want to quickly get out of the picture for like reflection or something. I don't always do that. Sometimes I mess up my reflection and stuff, and it looks really bad. But you always, I mean, I forget sometimes, but you always want to make sure that you don't have any reflection. And then you also want to make sure that this doesn't autofocus. So you have that little square in the middle. You want to make sure that's there, or else like sometimes when you take a picture, that green thing will come up. And when that green thing comes up, as you can see like right there, sometimes I mean, since I don't have autofocus on, it's just right where the little white square is. But sometimes it will go like over here or over here. So just make sure there's no autofocus. Yeah, and yeah, that's basically it for the camera stuff. And let's hand it over. Alright, and I'm back to another camera thing that I forgot to put earlier. Also with this, like I said in the one, my first tutorial, some people like using iPods for their, stop motion. So I actually have this really simple stand that I use for my iPod. Now, like, if you put it this way, when you put your iPod in, it fits in very nicely. You have your camera up there. I mean, you could add a little more on this side if you want. And, yeah. And also, one thing I have over here is I have this little line right here. Now, you might be wondering why I have that line, but to some people, it's actually quite obvious why I would have that line. Actually, I have this line right here just in case you want to put your iPod needs to be charged. Because then, if it ever needs to be charged, it just fits in there really nicely. And actually, when it is being charged, it has a lot more stability right there, and it doesn't move as much. Now, the only danger with doing stop motion with iPods, I mean, it doesn't really matter how you build your setup. See how I have those little studs right here? The iPod moves a lot, so you can get a lot of bad camera movements and stuff. I don't suggest it. I suggest using an actual camera and uploading it onto your computer, but it's really just up to you. And yeah, it's just recording with iPods, and yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. Tune in next time when we talk about movement and emotion.